And one of the ways that we're all probably familiar with doing that is by doing either, and it's kind of switching nowadays, back and forth between webinars, what we call webinars or master classes or free online trainings, or just a straight up video sales letter. We're seeing, Russell, we're seeing other people move to more of the model of, hey, get access to this free online training. You've got a limited time to consume it, a 48-hour pass. If you were to look at the video sales letter for the secret funnel strategy, for the Funnel Builder Secrets product within ClickFunnels, it's a 48-hour pass. If you were to look at Freelancer Secrets, it's a 48-hour pass. And on the back end of that sells a $300 or $400 course, I believe. So that's one direction to go. But basically, we're going to need to come up with a presentation that we can provide to a yoga studio owner that breaks down their beliefs around how do we, that they can actually build a business, they can actually make more money, and we can actually show them how to do it, and they can do it too, because that's going to be the biggest thing. How do I overcome that objection that, man, $1,000 is a lot of money? Does this person really know what they're talking about? So the best way to do that is to start with, okay, I'm going to build out a presentation. I'm going to build out, whether we deliver it as a webinar, a live webinar is a great way to start. And then from there go into, so we can do this consistently, get 3 sales per day, go into either an auto webinar or a 48-hour pass sort of video sales letter that goes through that same presentation. There's a couple different ways to deliver that, and we'll actually go through, in other sessions, we'll actually go through and build both of those out so we can see exactly how those both work. But can look at now and say, okay, that's kind of what we need to build. We need to build a perfect webinar presentation. I love the perfect webinar model. If you're not already familiar with it, definitely I would recommend studying up on the perfect webinar. Russell does a great job, and I think the thing that is key that most people miss with the perfect webinar, and this is one of the foundational aspects of the perfect webinar itself, is that it's not about teaching. It's about breaking down false beliefs and then rebuilding them. A lot of the yoga studio owners don't believe that they can ever make a lot of money teaching, owning a yoga studio. They're like, oh man, this is a struggle. I talked to all my other friends and they're struggling the same way. And this is just how it is. If I want to own a yoga studio, it's always just going to be a financial struggle. It's always going to be hard to make money because that's just the way that it is. So they may have that kind of deep-seated belief that yoga studios just don't make a lot of money. And so what we would have to do is get yoga studio owners to believe that, so if we were to look at the perfect webinar, the first thing you want to do is kind of build out what is that big domino statement? What's the one belief that if you can get the yoga studio owner to believe this one thing, they'll have no choice but to say, hey, man, that's totally worth $1,000 and give you $1,000. And then you can take that and then help and serve them. So if I can get yoga studio owners to believe that funnels are the only way to build a profitable yoga studio business, and that yoga funnel secrets, I'm just making stuff up here as we go, yoga funnel secrets is the only way to quickly and easily learn how to build a profitable yoga funnel, then they'll have no choice but to buy my course. Course, not curse, course. There we go. So this is kind of what you look at and you say, okay, so when it comes to the perfect webinar presentation, this is kind of the first thing. It's like, if I can get yoga studio owners to believe that funnels are the only way to build a profitable yoga studio business, and that yoga funnel secrets is the only way to quickly and easily learn how to build a profitable yoga funnel, then they'll have no choice but to buy my course. And so great. And then from there, you build out, and we won't necessarily go through all the details of the perfect webinar presentation, but this kind of goes into that foundation of like, okay, here's what I need to do to build this business. I need to be able to build a presentation that is going to serve the customer, that they're going to feel like even if they don't buy, and this is something I heard originally from John Reese, and I'm sure he probably heard it originally from someone else, but listen to a great podcast of his. If you're not familiar with John Reese, he was the first guy to have $1 million day, $1 million in 24 hours with through a funnel with his Traffic Secrets launch. And this was way back in the, let's see, 1998, maybe. Might have been early 2000s, actually. So he was, so John has a podcast, and John said in one of those podcast episodes that I listened to, he said that a truly valuable marketing is marketing in which your prospect or somebody that might be your customer comes into the experience of your marketing, and that even if they leave and never have purchased anything, they still feel like they received value. So if you're running an ad, if you're running, doing a presentation, if you're doing anything where you're attempting to sell a product, and you have something that you're trying to market to somebody, and they come in, and even if they don't buy, they walk away and say, you know what, I feel smarter for having listened to that conversation, then you're doing it right. If they come into it and they feel dirty after they leave, then you're doing it wrong. So you want to make sure, and so that's the goal of the perfect webinar, is even you're not necessarily teaching them how to build a funnel, but if you can get them to change their beliefs around that, they will have that epiphany, and they will still feel as though they've learned and that they've become a better person, and that marketing was actually valuable to them, even though they may not have purchased. They may just say, hey, I just can't afford it. So I need, I can't buy it right now. That may be their primary objection, and that may be where they're at. And that's okay. But if they still leave that event and say, you know what, even though I didn't buy, I still feel like I learned a lot through the process, then you're doing it right. And the perfect webinar is a great way to do that, because it allows you to break their beliefs so that now they've got a brand new set of beliefs. And that person that has a brand new set of beliefs is totally every time going to feel like they learned something, because in order to break those beliefs, they have to take on new beliefs, and those new beliefs are learning. So as much as it's not about teaching tactics, it's about teaching strategy and changing beliefs, and people will always feel enriched because of that. So that's what we're looking for here. So, okay, so we've gone through, we've kind of mapped out, okay, here's our audience. We need to create a course because we need to go in at the middle of our value ladder. We want to create $1 million business, so we need to break down, and we need to get about 3 sales a day. And in order to do that consistently, we need to come up first with a presentation where we can probably launch with a live webinar, get a bunch of sales in the front door, deliver that content, and then from there, we can get to where we automate that, and now consistently it's bringing in new sales every day, and we don't have to continue to deliver it live. But in order to do this perfect webinar presentation, we need to start with, okay, what is the one thing, if I could get my customer to believe this one thing, if I could get a yoga studio owner to believe this one thing, they would totally buy a $997 course to help them. So this is the thing that we need to teach them. And in that process, we need to, do our secret 1, 2, 3, and kind of map those things out. And go through those things. And so, and secret number 1, for those that don't already know this, the secret number 1, when we look at building out a webinar presentation, using the perfect webinar script, we have one big belief, one core belief, and that is this. That is our, core belief statement. This is what we call our domino statement. And none of this topic is mine, by the way. You probably all know this, but this is all straight from the Russell Brunson playbook. I love Russell. I love this methodology, and I love to be able to share it and kind of break it down, because I feel like, just like with the foundations for funnels, there's foundations for this process that a lot of people miss. And in fact, I've actually, we all know and love Liz Benny. And one of Liz Benny's products that she launched here a while back was Insta Social Secrets. It was an Instagram course around how to use Instagram to actually build a business around that by doing sponsored posts and things like that and building up a following. And I worked with her on the launch for that. And she actually just shared this the other day with a group, so I know that she would be okay with sharing this. And she's talked about the story before, but it was kind of funny. It was the day of the launch for the live webinar to promote Insta Social Secrets. And we jumped on a call, and she was kind of going through the webinar and had an epiphany at that moment. She's like, oh crap. Or actually she was getting ready to do the launch. And I think she shared it with Russell, and Russell messaged her back. And then her and I jumped on a call, and she's like, I'm about ready to go live with my webinar. And I just realized that I totally forgot the fact that my secrets are all wrong. My secrets are all about teaching people about Instagram, because she was still learning Instagram to the point. So it's like, oh, I'm going to teach people what I want to learn. And then she realized that I'm not breaking beliefs here. I'm teaching. And the more you teach, the less you sell. And the less you sell, the less money you make. So the goal here is not to teach. It's not that people won't feel like they've learned. It's that your job is not to teach them tactics. And the secrets are never about the one tactical advantage you have. If you do this one tactic, you'll make more money than everybody else. It's about getting them to break down false beliefs they have around the vehicle, which in this case is funnels, around themselves. What's that internal belief that they have that's holding them back, that's keeping them from being successful, that's keeping them from saying, oh yeah, okay, funnels are awesome. You've broken down my disbelief that online marketing, and it could, and honestly, we might even just say this is online marketing for their business, specifically funnels. So we're going to teach them that, that vehicle. And so they might come in and say, oh, that's awesome. I totally get that online marketing is the answer to my problems. I totally get that building a funnel is the answer to my problems. I believe that that's the case, but man, I'm just not smart enough to do this myself. There's no way that I can get this done because I don't have the experience. I don't have the chops. I don't have the smarts. I don't know how to work a computer or whatever. So that's going to hold them back. It's the belief about themselves that's going to keep them from being successful. And so, I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. I'm not techie enough to use online marketing to build my business. So that's going to be an internal struggle that they have, an internal belief that they hold that we need to break down and show them, look, you don't have to be a techie in order to get this. You just have to you have to act like an entrepreneur, like a business owner, and understand that funnels are the way. And then we'll give you the tools. We'll teach you how to do this simply and easily so that anybody can do it, even you, even if you've got no tech experience skill. And part of the reason that I'm going through this, just so you know, is not just to rehash stuff that you probably already know, but because it is foundational to the next step of the process is when we're crafting our landing page and our hook and our story and our offer. These are the things we're going to go back to bring that message to the forefront so that we've kind of pre-framed the things that we're going to cover when they get to the landing, or when they land on that landing page. This is going to set that frame so that when they get to the presentation, they're already prepared to discover these things and change these beliefs so that by the end of the presentation, they're primed and ready to buy. So it is kind of that foundational thing that's going to add into how we craft our funnel. And so if we can think about these things in advance, it's not only going to help us build our presentation, but it's actually going to help us build our landing pages and our funnels in the right direction. And so the next thing is to actually go through and look at what are the external struggles that they might be coming up with. So what is, what's an external thing that they might be struggling with? It's like, okay, so I totally get that online marketing and specifically funnels are the answer to my problems. I know that somebody could be successful. I can see how that could help a studio owner be successful in building a big enough business to be profitable and run a 6-figure a year business. Okay, that's great. I get that. And okay, initially I thought I wasn't smart enough, but you've taught me that funnels don't have to be complicated, and I don't have to have a PhD in computer science to be able to build these things out. So I totally believe I can do it. But man, this thing outside of me is holding me back. And so a lot of yoga studio owners might say, like, I don't live in a big enough city. I don't have a big enough audience. I don't have a big enough audience. This would be the case in the small town we're from in Indiana. There's a yoga studio owner there. And thankfully, she's gone through and is actually using some online marketing to actually build her business. But it's been a struggle for a long time. But we live in a small town. It's about 20,000 people. So a lot of yoga studio owners in a smaller area, a small town, or there's a lot of competition, that might be their, that might be, another belief that we could go down. That really is very similar. I don't have a big enough audience. I'm in a small town. There's too much competition in my area. I can't be successful because of that. And that's where we can tear down and show them that, like, look, if you use online marketing properly, you're going to tap into, use some of these tools that we show you around psychology and around marketing, how to build funnels. You're going to tap more of that audience. You don't need, to have, 1,000 people a month coming to your yoga studio. Maybe you'll just need 100 dedicated people to come in and buy an annual subscription. And if you do the things like we're doing right now and go through course value creation, building an offer, if we can teach you how to build an offer for your yoga studio that gets people to come in and pay you $1,000 for the year, or $1,000 a month, or whatever that is, back into their goals as well. Like, what size business do you need? Let's think through this, and let's walk you through how to build value creation. So we can show you that, hey, you don't have to have a huge audience to build a profitable business. So that's one direction we could tear down that belief. Another one is to show that, hey, you don't have to just tap your local area. If you want to build a yoga business, you don't have to have a physical presence. It doesn't have to be people coming into your studio to actually do this. You can do this through courses. You can do this through videos. You can do this through DVDs. You can do this through all kinds of other mechanisms. And so anybody can do that. So that I don't have enough audience, there's too much competition in my local area, I live in a small town, is no longer a problem. You've overcome that objection. And then now they can believe that, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I can do that too. I can totally see how it doesn't matter. Funnels are the way. It doesn't matter how smart I am, and it doesn't matter how much of an audience I already have. I can be successful with this. And now they're like, okay, awesome. Now you can make them an offer that walks them through. We can teach you how to do this for yourself. Here's the stack. Here's the offer. Now they go buy. So, but we're going to use these things, this statement and these vehicles, these beliefs. What are the false beliefs, and what are the ways that we tear those down? We're going to use those when we craft our landing page for our funnels.